Salibonani, Makadini, Molibwanji. Welcome to Shepherdsrest with me, Itai and Shepherd. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell to enjoy more of our content as we build our rural home. Celebrate with us, guys. Wow, celebrate with us. Eventually we have water, and this is after drilling for 17 meters. So everything that you witnessed, the whole process that we had to endure, all the stress, everything all happened under 2 hours. In fact, it was just over an hour. So it was like 1 hour and some 20 minutes. But the stress, when it happens, it feels like it's forever, especially the part where we hit a rock and we started seeing the dust coming out of that hole. It felt like it's going on and on and on. It felt like it was forever. But basically, as I explained, we used I think we used on the third rod, the third drill bit. That's when water started dripping in small amounts, but it was there. And then on the fourth rod, that's when it started increasing. So although it felt like it was a long process, looking back, it really wasn't a long process. And I've heard some people actually say they get water maybe after 90 meters, 100 plus meters. And looking back, I'm now asking myself, how do they stand and watch while all that happens? Because for us, well, I tried to be a little patient, but my husband, by the second rod that went in, remember I told you the drill bits are like 5 meters each. So as soon as the second one went in, I think that's when we hit a rock, and that's when the dust started coming out. So we were only 10 meters in when the dust started coming out. But he was already stressed. And remember what I explained. So initially, when you make the payment, you're paying for 40 meters. Regardless of whether during that 40 meters you get water or not, you have to pay for that 40 meters. So we had already paid, and obviously they explained that you are paying 40 meters whether you get water or not. There is no refund, there is no kululu, no kalala. You pay your money for those 40 meters, whatever the outcome is. They have used their resources to drill, so there is no turning back. Once you pay for those 40 meters, whatever comes up, you have to be able to stand for it. So, in fact, the reason why my husband was stressing so much is because there was a little bit of a confusion between how long the casing is versus how long the drill bits are. So initially the guys had explained that the drill bits are 5 meters, and then the casing is longer, and it's 6 meters each. So in his mind, he was counting 6 meters for each drill bit instead of counting 5 meters for each. So by the time they were on the third one, my husband was counting that we were now over 12 meters, and on the third road we are now going for 18 meters. So that in his mind, that's what was happening. But in case we had just, in truth, we had just done 10 meters with the first 2 rods, and the third one we were doing from 10 meters to 15 meters. So anyway, I guess the stress was just in his mind. He was just like, so I've paid all this money. What if, what if nothing comes out? Because at that time, all of this happened in May. So it's not something which is happening now. Like I mentioned to you, we are working, so our jobs just don't allow us to post as things come. So we're kind of editing as we get a chance and posting and sharing with you guys. So everything happened in that moment. After him paying, he was just thinking in his mind, what if I've lost this money? Because remember, we are working, saving some money, and once we save that money, we are calculating in our minds that this money has to cover A, B, C, and D. So in his mind, after the explanation that you pay for the 40 meters, whether we get water or not, just know that the amount you've paid there's no refund, there's nothing. So that was probably running in his mind, and he was probably not able to think straight. But as they continued to drill, I kept on telling him, we're gonna get water, we have to get water, we will get water. And I was actually calm. I actually felt we will get water, right? But just a few months before we drilled our own bore, like I think it was in April, in the same area, we know somebody who had drilled their own borehole, and they had gone 100 meters without getting anything. Okay, so this story was still doing the rounds. Everybody was talking about it, and just discussing how painful the person's experience was, having brought the whole truck. You know how it is in the village. Just for you to drive by with the car, it's a big deal. Now when you hire this truck to come and drill, everyone is going to know. So when that person who had drilled 100 meters failed to get anything, of course, people knew, people heard the story. People when they saw the truck, the whole village basically is just waiting for the results. So that's how much pressure there was. So that story was still fresh and still doing the rounds, in the community. So in our own case, everybody was now wondering, are we going to get water, or are we going to be like the other person who hired the truck and didn't get anything? So that was the whole story behind my husband's pressure as well. this point, we are happy. As you can see, there is quite a lot of pressure from the water coming from underground, so that was quite a relief. We had also quite a lot of help just from the people in the community in terms of just their support, just them being around us, just the village chit chat, just people coming to share with you in your joys, in your success. So it was quite a happy moment to celebrate with the rest of the community. I really love this community because, as you can imagine, as with any other village kumosha where you can just imagine in any place, people are always there for you, people are always ready to assist you, and sometimes without even having to ask, you just find people coming to be with you, to celebrate with you. If it's a time to cry, they come to cry with you. So those are some of the things that you actually get from Kumosha that we are slowly starting to lose in city life. Of course, people in the city back at home in Zimbabwe, they still chit chat, they still talk to you, but I feel like Kumosha, it's more pronounced. It just takes one to open their heart and really appreciate it when people come to surround you, when people come to celebrate with you, when people come to check in on you. Those are things that are priceless, and those are things that can never be bought by money, or that cannot just be forged from out of the blue. It's just something that comes with this lifestyle, Yekumosha. So it's something that I quite appreciate, and I feel at ease when I'm Kumosha. Just, I could just wake up on a random day with my husband, and then we just go for a walk, just go and see people. It's the simple things, like you just go to one homestead, they give you mbambaira, you go to the other homestead, they give you chibage, and the chit chat you have along the way when you talk with them, and they just tell you about their lives or anything else that is happening within the community. It's priceless, to be honest. It's very simple, a simple way to live, but also a very, very fulfilling way to live. Other people in the community come as well, just to give a helping hand, also to get my piece jobs and stuff. So even if they're not coming to help, people will just come and gather just to see what is happening. So you always have people around you. Sometimes you get a crowd for nothing or just for information. Just like when this truck came to drill, we actually had our neighbors coming through, and when I mean neighbors, in the village, your neighbors go as far as the next 30 houses across. So that's as loosely as I'm using the term neighbors. It's not the adjacent people, but people that go as far as the next 20, 30, 40 households. They just come to see what is happening, basically. So in such circumstances, you now don't want to entertain talks of there could be this on this land, there could be that. At this point now, we can see Mr. Shepherd. He's now happy, he's excited. By this point, we had now drilled, because we got water at 17 meters. We asked them to keep going, obviously, because we had paid for the 40 meters. So they went for 40 meters, and we did one extra rod. So we actually drilled 45 meters, but the level at which we actually reached the water table is at 17 meters, and we just wanted to have a little bit more pressure from the water coming underground. So that's why we just asked them to do the extra one rod from the 40 meters. So we ended up going for 45 meters. So that's the guy there sealing the water casing. So even from the side profile of his face, you can see my husband is smiling. And he's just so happy that, you know, his efforts have paid off. There's nothing more painful than losing a lump sum of money for something in your plans that doesn't work out. But at least this worked out for us. So this is the soil profile. So every time they finish one drill bit, they actually just shovel a heap of soil and put it on the side to count how many drill bits have gone in the process. So if you count these ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you should be having 9 of those. Yes, we actually did 9 heaps because we went for 45 meters as said. So here is the moment you've been waiting for, guys. What we actually got after, after securing water on our land, we got something unexpected, something that we had not planned for, something we did not even think we would get, but it happened for us. And we were just so happy and so excited with the turn of events, okay? Because apart from us eventually getting the water, this was just something out of the blue, something we had not organized. So it was a nice surprise to finish the day. So this land that we're actually drilling the borehole on and building on is the second piece of land that we acquired. The first one is this one that the guys are walking into. This was the original piece of land that we got when we were still in South Africa. And so when we came to fence this particular land that they're walking on, that's when the guy who owns the other land that we are currently building on approached us and said, do you want to buy this piece of land? So because it was just adjacent, we just agreed, because for me, my husband knows when it comes to land, I'll never say no to land. So this was the first piece of land. You can see it's still got trees and all of that stuff, because we had to stop clearing this space and go on build on the other one that we're building on now, because the guy who sold it to us when it was already cleared. So there was not much work to be done there. We didn't want to put in a lot of money in the clearing, whereas we wanted to build promptly without wasting any time. So that's why we said let's just build on the other piece of land, because it was more convenient. Now, so that's the backstory to that. So now where these guys are going, what we actually got from the other neighbor who is north facing, on the other piece of land where we are building. They actually approached us and also offered a piece of land again. So this is the second person offering us another piece of land because they're also next to us, and in return they just wanted to be able to get water from the borehole. So it was some kind of an exchange to say, now that you've got water, could you also assist us and we'll give you the backyard. So their backyard actually is north facing to our land, so we can just push our boundary backwards, and then that extends our land, and it actually helps us because of the projects that we're planning to do. The more the piece of land we have, the better. Also because the initial land, the one where we're still clearing, a section of it is a bit rocky. So this side that our neighbor, well, our second neighbor is offering us is more plowable. There's not that much rocks there, so we can use it for farming and other stuff. So we were quite happy. It's a sizable piece of land, and we're looking forward to using it. And by this time, we know that it's actually clear. That guy in the yellow t-shirt, since May up until now, he's actually been working on that land to clear it up and just remove that fencing so that it's one whole chunk. The first piece of land, the second one where we are building, and this third edition, just to make sure that the fence is now turned to the other side to make way for the new boundary. I don't know if that makes sense. The English is Englishing. Or maybe not. Anyway, so that's what we got, guys. We got an extra piece of land, the third extra piece of land. Because remember, we only started with the first piece of land where we, even up to now, we're still clearing that first piece of land. Then we got the one that is cleared. Then we now got this one, the third one. So it's just amazing for us. It's something we were not planning, although we were wanting to extend our piece of land, and the people that we were talking to were not willing to give us anything. So this neighbor actually came through for us.